Acha ji. Welcome you all. So today, what we are going to discuss is about. Uh, we are going to continue the same topic that we discussed in last class. Right now, we are going to discuss the effects of economic shocks in a small open economy. Effects of economic shocks, and we know we have studied these. What are these shocks in our previous chapter? That mainly there are two shocks. One is a adverse supply shocks and other is a beneficial supply shock. Adverse supply shock can be caused by drought in economy, can be caused by, let's say, any short-term shortfall in economy, maybe COVID, or because of any reason your long-term growth or short-term growth is affected by that particular shock. So that's an adverse supply shock. And beneficial supply shock, due to any reason our supply of productivity increase or output increase or our output increase. So mainly that is because of marginal productivity of capital. So let's discuss the first adverse supply shock. So before discussing adverse supply shock, first we need to understand what is capital account, current account surplus, and what is current account deficit. So we know this is our equilibrium condition in open market economy, goods market open economy. S equals I plus Xn. So assuming that if our saving is 5% and our investment is 1%, so our net export is 4. So that is a current account surplus. Why? Because saving is greater than investment. So when saving is greater than investment, we can say that it's in a current account surplus. And when we say that by saving is 1 and investment is 5, so there is a net export deficit which is -4. So that's also creating current account deficit. So simply when S is less than I, that is a current account deficit. So now let's understand this adverse supply shock impact on our goods market equilibrium in open economy. So as we discussed in previous class, there is a world interest rate and there is a one economy who has, let's assume, equilibrium at this point. So but world economy rate is higher than that particular point. So this seems that here at this point 1 and point 2, let's say if I'll give it the name of A and B, the difference between A and B is greater. How can I say that? That means S is greater than I, saving rate is greater than investment rate. So we have seen over here that when saving is greater than investment, we have current account surplus. So having this current account surplus, if we have any adverse supply shock in our economy, तो अगर कोई adverse supply shock आ जाता है तो क्या होगा? We know that our supply curve will shift outward. मतलब यहाँ पे our supply curve is saving curve, national saving. So our saving will be decreased क्योंकि adverse supply shock आ रहा है जिसकी वजह से output decrease होगा, obviously economy की saving decrease होगी. So this will shift this side. So when it shifts this side, now you can see that earlier that was the A point and that was the B point, and right now that is the C point. So if you can compare it or see it, the gap between A and B has been reduced and it is now within these points or this range. So our basically current account surplus has been decreased. So when I say current account surplus is decreased, that means current account deficit has been increased. All right. So जब भी हमारा current account surplus decrease होता है, that means it may cost another thing, and that another thing is current account deficit. तो यहाँ पे हमारा current account surplus A and B से A and C के बीच में आ गया और वो कम हो गया हमारा amount. So adverse supply shock इस तरह affect कर सकता है आपकी ओपन इकोनॉमी में. अगर आप सरप्लस में हैं तो आपको सरप्लस को कम कर सकता है. अगर आप पहले यहाँ सरप्लस पे लेट्स अज्यूम 500 million से, right now you got 250 millions of surplus because supply shock की वजह से 250 million आके इकोनॉमी में lost हो गए. Now let's discuss reverse case of this adverse supply shock. Earlier, we were in a, let's assume, trade deficit. That was the world interest rate, and that is the equilibrium that we want to achieve in a small open economy. So if interest is greater than saving rate, so that is a current account deficit. We know that. So this is a point A, this is a point B. So see, adverse supply shock आ गया. So we know that कि हमारा ये जो S1 से S2 outward shift हो गया. तो earlier we got this point A and B. Right now this point has been increased, A and C. The gap between A and B has been increased. Now it become A and C. So what is happening? Basically our current account deficit has been increased. अगर पहले यहाँ पे ए एंड बी डेफिसिट था, लेट्स अज्यूम 300 मिलियन का, तो यहाँ पे बढ़ गया गैप, सो दैट may cost 350 million. So this is how this adverse supply shock can affect on a small open economy. I hope we are clear on these points. If I'll now discuss the marginal productivity of capital or the positive supply shock or a beneficial supply shock, so what will happen? Then our investment is going to increase. Then our investment is going to increase. Again, not the saving curve is saving is going to increase. Marginal productivity of capital क्या है? अगर मैं आपसे ये question throw करूँ, तो pause that video and recall that when we buy additional capital and that additional capital is going to produce additional output. So for that buying additional capital, that means we need additional money or investment to buy that machinery. So MPK तभी increase होगा when we invest more. So वाइस वर्सा, जब इन्वेस्टमेंट इंक्रीज होगी एमपीके इंक्रीज होगा, जब एमपीके इंक्रीज होगी वी नीड टू इन्वेस्ट मोर. सो अज्यूमिंग द सेम सिनेरियो कि वी आर इन अ करंट अकाउंट सरप्लस एट दिस पॉइंट, दिस इज वर्ल्ड रेट, दिस इज पॉइंट ए, दिस इज पॉइंट बी, हियर एस इज ग्रेटर देन इन्वेस्टमेंट. सो अगर अब एमपीके बढ़ रहा है तो दैट मीन्स इन्वेस्टमेंट कर्व विल शिफ्ट आउटवर्ड. सो ये हमने शिफ्ट कर दिया, शिफ्ट आउटवर्ड. ठीक है जी. तो पहले अगर पॉइंट ए ये था और पॉइंट बी ये था, तो नाउ यू कैन सी दैट अगेन करंट अकाउंट सरप्लस इज डिक्रीज, करंट अकाउंट सरप्लस इज लोअर. ठीक है. तो जब एमपी की इन्वेस्टमेंट बढ़ने से, क्योंकि कॉस्ट बढ़ रही है आपकी, तो आपने अपने सरप्लस में से कुछ अमाउंट पे ऑफ किया और आपने कैपिटल्स बाय किए, तो आपका करंट अकाउंट सरप्लस ऑब्वियसली डिक्रीज होगा. यहाँ पे अगर आप फुल सरप्लस में थे, इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं कर रहे थे, अगेन 500 मिलियन थे आपके पास, लेकिन यहाँ पे अब आपकी इन्वेस्टमेंट बढ़ी, तो आपकी वो जो करंट अकाउंट सरप्लस का अमाउंट है दैट बिकम व्हाट 250 मिलियन. अब let's assume that we were in a deficit over here, current account deficit. So that was the point A, that was the point B. एपीके increase हुआ, investment increase हुई, तो this curve will shift outward. So we got a new point. Earlier that was the A, that was the B, or that was the A, that was the B. Like right now this is a C point. The gap has been increased. So our current account deficit has been increased. क्यों? क्योंकि पहले ही हम डेफिसिट में थे और हमने प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ाने के चक्कर में इन्वेस्टमेंट ज्यादा कर दी, ज्यादा कैपिटल बाय कर लिया, और हमारे पास पैसे ही नहीं थे, तो पैसे ऑब्वियसली कहीं ना कहीं से हमने बोरो किए होंगे. एंड वी नो दैट यहाँ पे इन सरप्लस वी डू लैंडिंग, यहाँ पे वी डू लैंडिंग. ठीक. अब लैंडिंग नहीं की हमने, तो हमने इन्वेस्टमेंट कर दी, जिसकी वजह से हमारी प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ी, लेकिन फॉर नाउ हमारा सरप्लस कम हुआ. लेकिन यहाँ पे वी वर ऑलरेडी इन डेफिसिट, तो हमने पहले ही बोरिंग की हुई थी यहाँ पे, और हमने वो कर दी इन्वेस्टमेंट. तो इन्वेस्टमेंट बढ़ाने के चक्कर में हमारा डेफिसिट और बढ़ गया फॉर नाउ, क्योंकि हमने वो बोरिंग इन्वेस्टमेंट करने के लिए कर दी. अब जब तक इसका एंड रिजल्ट प्रोडक्टिविटी हम एक्सपोर्ट करें या जो भी करें एंड में, सो दिस इज गोइंग टू lower down our current account deficit. So this is how these economic shocks might affect on a small open economy. So I hope we are clear till now.